All right, what's going on out there, YouTube family? This is Sammy Legger here representing Team JVS, back here again for another spoiler review for Lovecraft Country. This is episode 2. I don't know what the name of it is, but
Damn.
we're gonna bring my man Lucas. we about to do the daggone thing. So hopefully y'all enjoy this spoiler review. So just a heads up, you guys, this is spoiler. So if you don't want to get spoiled, go to our non-spoiler review. We got it there. We just to give you guys context, we've seen this episode is last week. Episodes this we've gone over either a couple of times or we've had time to reflect on it. So
yes,
my opinion may be a little different than how you see my non-spoiler review. Just because I think that the first time watching it and the amount of times I was going through episode, it was very jarring, and I was just dealing with my emotions of all of it. But we're gonna go and just do the daggone thing. What's going on, Lucas?
What's going on? Hey, I can't disagree with you there, buddy. Watching these episodes back to back will blank your mind up very quickly.
I told Lucas, I was on the 3rd episode. I said, Lucas, I don't think I can do this, bro. I think I'm done. I'm tapping out, man. I just can't handle it. But yeah, so this episode, it starts off, and I'm gonna give you guys kind of a picture. The very last moment, they got out, and no pun intended. But Jordan probably did that joint intended.
Oh,
of course. But they got out, and they got intercepted by a person, which we'll go into, and Lucas will go into detail about this person. And they get brought back to a mansion. And once they get brought to a mansion, the episode opens up with Letty and Uncle George. Uncle George is living in heaven with all these books, and Letty is having all this glamour and clothes, even though we really don't know enough foundationally about Letty to understand why she loves what she loves, or why she's so ambitious, or why she got this chip over her shoulder. Like, we just don't know. So that does get fleshed out over time, but yeah, the transition from the last episode to this episode, you don't even know why or how they're even in the mansion. You just know that they got picked up and dragged over there, and they're going crazy. But we do know that Atticus very much so is distraught. He's upset, and he is traumatized from what they had to deal with the night before. They were supposed to get lynched and killed. Instead, they almost got killed by monsters. And these monsters got called off by what he thought he heard was a whistle. And so for him, it was kind of like he was just thrown off. I think that throughout most of this, I was okay with Atticus throughout most of this episode, up until the very last part of the episode. We'll get into that. We'll get to that foolishness later. But what did you think about the beginning of this episode, Lucas?
Okay, hold on, let me see. Whitey's on the Moon. That's the name of this episode. It's Whitey's on the Moon.
Lord.
Yeah. Oh no. That is the name of the episode. Is Whitey's on the Moon. Okay, that's the name of the episode. As we said at the end of the last review we did, they just throw you into stuff and explain nothing. It feels coming into the beginning of this episode like you're missing a huge chunk of story that you're like, wait, why are they in here? Why is the Jeffersons theme song playing? Why is Uncle George dancing for books? Why is Letty dancing? Why are they like, none of that is explained to you at all. You just dropped into the middle of it. And when you're dropped into the middle of it, the thing that holds you and attempts to pull you back is Atticus and his reaction to everything. That's what they did great on. Is his reaction to everything is like, this ain't a party time. To them, this is perfectly a party time. It just would have been great to know how they got in the house, how they got in the room, like something. Give me something. Nothing. Yeah. Nothing at all was given to you here.
Yeah. We find out that, I forget the name of the family, but Christina and
Braithwaite.
Yeah. Her dad and their secondhand person have brought them into the house. and are basically catering to their needs because Atticus is very essential to what they need, which we find out is this very elaborate, random, weird, demonic scheme to get back to the Garden of Eden to have immortal life. That was a lot, even for me to say that. I didn't practice that. That just came off of my tongue stupid. It came off my tongue stupid. So we're going to stay grounded. On this review, we're going to stay grounded. So beginning of this, we're questioning why Atticus is right. Like, why are you guys acting like nothing happened? And then I was like, okay, let me look at this from a subjective standpoint. Maybe Atticus might be going crazy. Like the first shot of the first episode, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, that's not normal. And I mean, a lot of people, when they deal with trauma, they interpret trauma completely differently. And I was like, but no, they have blood all over them. So unless this group of 3 black people just, blew these cops away and they got blood all over them, no, that doesn't add up. So obviously this is a science fiction situation. So Atticus is right. So why are they not remembering anything? And I think Lucas has something to add to this when it comes to the book. But for me, I was kind of like, okay, they're using witchcraft now. I gotta start rebuking Biden this stuff. Like, where are we going with this? Like, why is it an episode of Charmed happening right now, where we got?
Wow, it did feel like an episode of Charmed.
Borders around the doors that have if they markings and. Bruh, look, when I saw during the second act of this episode that these people, these company, they were looking at these black people in their respective rooms going crazy through hallucinations, and they were just looking at it. I was like, this is supposed to be very haunting, but it feels like Charm.
hey, and not the old Charm, the new bad one. That's what it felt like. Good. This episode, and I promise this will be the last time I will ever say this, because when this episode happened and I watched it the first time, again, we've seen these possibly multiple times at this point. When I saw it the first time, I took my copy of the book, I got a trash can, and if anyone knows that meme with Elmo, when it's like all the fire, that's how I felt, because I set that book on fire, because I said, you know what? You just ain't going to care about the book anymore. I'm just not going to care about the book anymore, and I'm just going to have to watch this show. This episode just feels silly on so many levels. And the things that are supposed to be, as Sam said, haunting, scary, thought-provoking, just comes across as so silly. And then you don't even, like, it takes you out of this episode so quick. Yeah. So quick and so fast you get taken out of this episode. Again, partially because at the beginning of the episode, you don't know what the heck is going on. They just drop you into the middle of something, and then they don't take their time to explain anything else. Why they're in this house fully, what's going on in this house, what are all these people there? As Sam said, when my Caucasian brethren were looking at the black people through a hologram, and even when they were in their hallucinations, it still didn't feel. It felt like a CW show that I've seen a multitude of times. Like it did nothing for this show to do this episode.
Yeah. And it's like the weird thing about each one of the hallucinations, I was kind of like, okay, this looks like the same exact alien chick that I saw from the very first scene. But, he's battling her. And that's obvious, when he was making a call the first time, I think the first episode or second episode, that it was maybe to the same exact person. But I was kind of like, this don't add up. Like, it's like, are you trying to say that he wants to be, I don't know, hurt by this person or killed in battle? Like, what are you trying to actually say? And it didn't, throughout the episode, they were doing things, but it didn't fit with the narrative. The only one that I'll say, the only hallucination that kind of like left me an impression was Uncle George's hallucination, because then I was like, whoa, hold up. who's that woman? Because he looked like, I mean, the first episode, it was adamant that he really loves his wife, you know, but this seems deep. Like, who is this woman? You know, sadly, this episode is not where you're going to find out. You're not going to find out until 2 episodes down the line who and why this was significant.
Oh, God. So, it makes no sense that they did that.
From a narrative standpoint, if you decided you're going to quit this show after the second episode, you're never going to figure out what that actually meant. And I think that is a disservice to the people that really want to know where things are going to go. And I think that's what makes this episode a little bit more weaker. And there's a growing theme that with each episode, they try to make each episode feel like an anthology. Do you get that, Lucas? Do you get this feeling like each episode feels like its own anthology, where it's like they've taken this theme of this horror element and they kind of making it this.
Welcome.
Honestly, around the 4th episode, this is not a spoiler, but I was kind of like, man, what is this national treasure, man? Get this treasure. I was like, I was questioning. I was like, man, what is this? This is the national treasure and mummy, bro. Like, get that out of my face, dog.
I said Indiana Jones. When it happened, I said, oh, are we doing a Raiders Lost Ark here? Like,
and so anyway, staying on target. I can tell that they're trying to make each episode completely distinct. But what they lose is they lose the narrative and they lose the effectiveness of the actual tone for the audience. And so it was kind of like when all the stuff was kind of happening with the hallucination, specifically even Letty's, I was like, okay, so is there some kind of deeper meaning to this man having a snake in his pants and literally doing this to this girl? Like, I was like, it doesn't add up. It like, I think I get it, but then I don't, because then they go completely left when Samuel decides he's going to take Atticus, force him to go through this ritual. But if I'm not mistaken, didn't Letty get killed? Like he murdered Letty, right? On the bridge because they couldn't get out. Okay, all right, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna let Lucas go. There was way too much in this episode. There was thinking back and harping on it in my brain. They get to the mansion. They lose any kind of understanding of what happened the night before. They gain every understanding of everything that happened the night before. Then they go through a whole other cycle of hallucinations. Then one of them gets killed. Then they get ambushed again. But some kind of way in between this time, they make their way into a random town and find this room or building or something. Like, yo, my dad's got to be here. Like, what? And then by the end of the episode, some kind of way, another major character dies, and then we get the dad. This is all one episode, and it's way too much. I even thinking about it, like I'm like, yo, I don't know if we can structuralize this review efficiently because it's way too much, bro.
Hello, let's try real quick because I said let me put this review will be the last time I mention the book, but structurally it breaks down points of the book because this is actually how the book moves along. It just takes its time to explain it a little better about everything that's happening. In this episode, they just throw it all at you and they don't give you a moment to breathe and settle in or live in a moment of what's happening with these characters. It's just like, we're going to move you from here to here to here to here to here, and then we're going to kill off a main character that doesn't need to die. Doesn't need to die. Not when you just shot somebody else who lived. The same exact thing. This episode was frustrating. Again, as a lover of the book, it was frustrating because Christine Braithwaite, am I saying her name right? Christine Braithwaite, in the book, that is a man. They changed it to a woman. I am still waiting to see why was this character changed from a man to a woman. In turn of them changing the character, they change a lot of what happens with that character here, which would explain it even more to people. Like, it's certain moments where what happens with this character in the book could have made this episode great. You could have done everything you're going to do in every future episode. You could have done the confusion you got in the first episode. If with this one episode, because it's so much thrown at you, is if they pinpointed the book and say, hey, hit this, hit this, hit this, hit this, slow it down a little bit. And then that way we can explain all of this to everybody, because all of this is highly important stuff. Every bit of it. From the hallucinations, I know what that means. I am just not going to say it, because to me, that is as close to blasphemy as I will ever get in my life, of saying what I believe that snake and what they would, I'm not doing none of that. But without that, like the rest of the storyline about them going to the town, I don't understand, as Sam said, how he figured so fast that my dad must be in there. Like, dude, you did no police work to find out that. Nothing. Made no sense. From everything with Samuel and what happens at the dinner, and it got so irritating. I'm not going to lie. The first time I watched this episode, I cut it off. I said, I'm not watching this no more. I'm done. I'm done. This is stupid. This is really, really stupid. That's what I thought in my head. I said, this is really, really stupid. Then, being the person that I am, and me reviewing things multiple times, reviewing things that I thought was stupid, I said, no, let me watch this, because they have to be taking it somewhere.
Yeah.
And in the end, they took it nowhere. This is just an unnecessary, confusing episode. That's it. It's unnecessarily confusing. Now we could try to break it down and try to explain, and we can try to piece it together exactly what happens, but I think we're going to sound just as nutty and crazy as the narrative for this episode was when we attempt to explain everything that happens, because you all are going to be lost. And you're going to say, well, that doesn't make sense. Why would you do that? Then why would you do? But we're going to try. Past the obvious first part that we already discussed.
Yeah, I mean, even just taking when the dinner party was over with and Christina goes outside and she goes to this calf, and the calf is giving birth, and like I'm like, first off, who are these people? You know what I'm saying? Like, who the heck are these people that are working with this family? And they were like, is this your first time? And I was like, what? And then you see what the calf bursts out. And I'm like, are these the same monsters that bite people and make them them? How am I supposed to impact that? I can't sit there and tell you guys what that means, because I have no clue. I got no clue. It doesn't make any sense to me. And it still doesn't make any sense. And I know later on. And the thing about Christina that I'll comment to that is, it's not, well, I'm not going to say it's an agenda, but they're doing two different things with Christina. They're trying to show, not that this is a man's world necessarily, but they're trying to hit two different dynamics: African Americans and female perspective, women empowerment, and the uprising of what should be and what shouldn't be when it comes to race relations. And they're using her as a catalyst to that, because even just taking the context of, oh, this is my first time, so wait, why wouldn't her dad, let her do this? So she's obviously got an agenda. She obviously is trying to do and make something for herself. And even the way that she kind of looks at Atticus, it seems like she wants to love him, she wants to care about him, but she's already got this competition against him. And I think it's all tied to like a bloodline situation, but you don't find out until the 5th episode what really is deep-seatedly issued with Christina. You're not going to find out till the 5th episode. So we're not going to go down that. But when it came to Atticus and her, did you feel like there's like some sexual tension going on with Atticus? And I was like, are they trying to push like a multi, I don't know, interracial kind of situation?
I'm going to use a word. The word I'm going to use does not mean what it doesn't fully mean what people use the word for now. But I'm going to use this word because that's the first, when this scene happened and their chemistry or lack thereof chemistry, or the whatever they were trying to build there happened, the first thing I thought of was an old 70s movie named Mandingo. And the reason I thought about it, because it felt like the relationship they had with the slave owner's daughter and Ken Norton character in the movie. Like,
yeah,
it felt that way. Like, she kind of cares for him, but he's competition, and then he's black, so he's kind of like, he's forbidden fruit.
Yeah.
And it's actually an analogy for that, for this entire episode. He's forbidden fruit to her, and that's what's drawing him to her even more. That's what makes her want him more. It's for that reason. I didn't need sexual tension between these two at all. It is highly unnecessary. They could have strictly went with the fact that she was struggling with the point that her dad didn't let her do stuff. And here's this black man who she automatically sees as a second-class person anyway.
Yeah.
But he gains more respect than her because he's a man.
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
she even says it when she's talking to Atticus. And she said, well, he's letting you do this because you're a man. And he said, and a Negro. Like, he knows, Atticus understands why she would be mad about her father, like, giving Atticus as much attention as he's giving her.
Yep. It's interesting, though, because it's a push and pull, because Atticus, even when her dad was threatening to shoot, one of them, he was pleading with Christina. He didn't plead with Samuel. He was like, Christina, are you going to let this happen? And I'm like, bro, you only know her for 2 seconds. Like, she the one to call the dogs out. I mean, bro, look, I wouldn't trust not neighbor. The whole entire show, Atticus has been on this I'm not trusting nobody. But I'm kind of crazy. Like, but yet he just kind of trusts Christina out of the blue. And I was like, I don't know if this is because he looks at her because they are tied together by blood. Is this an attraction thing? I just don't know. And again, a part of this is also an issue foundationally when it comes to Atticus, because we have no idea what happened to him in the war, what his connection is with the person that he was even fighting in his hallucination. And was the hallucination actually an alien? I have no freaking clue, because in the call in the first episode or the second episode, she was like, why did you go back? You weren't supposed to go back. Like, what? Ninja, what does that mean? What are you talking about? So, yeah, there's a lot.
They showed a black man making a call to South Korea in the first episode. I want you to really think about that. A black man in that time period making a collect call to South Korea. Come on, yeah, you had lost me then, and I said, okay, yeah, you're just making up stuff at this point. But again, without knowing those connections, even his blood connection not being fully explained.
They didn't.
Yeah, they didn't fully explain it. Like,
could you expound on that? Because I have no idea. I personally don't know.
So in the book, they're looking for descendants of their family. Okay. And the male descendants of their family are the ones who are kind of over this Sons of Adam organization.
Yeah.
It comes out that Atticus' mother is a descendant of one of the men in the Braithwaite family through him having a child with a slave.
Yeah, exactly.
And because that happens, Atticus' blood is passed down, and he becomes a necessary person because he's technically supposed to be one of the few left of that bloodline. Now, in the book, Christine is a man, so that whole Men of Adam scene plays differently. We don't meet Samuel at all during the dinner in the book. He is not there. He is in his own quarter somewhere, and that scene plays completely different, and that's what threw me off the most. But that's just the bloodline. That's supposed to be bloodline, and that's why Atticus is so important to them. But in this one, they hint towards it for you, but then they don't fully explain why they care this much about Atticus or why they need him to help reopen the Garden of Eden. Or why do they want to reopen the Garden of Eden?
So then that means that there's a whole flaw with this then, because because they kidnapped the dad some kind of way, or he got himself kidnapped, whatever you want to call it. They had the dad dungeoned up. And we're going to bring this up later on in the 5th episode, because the person that was holding that man, we're going to bring that up later, because the actress, you know what I'm going to say, Lucas, but I'm not going to go there. But the fact is, they got the dad, right? Mm-hmm. They have Atticus. They have Uncle George. Based on the last conversation we had at the very end of this episode, because, Courtney B. Vance's character does die. But he has this very intimate conversation with the dad about Atticus. And basically it surrounds that Atticus may not be his. And I'm like, wait. If that's the case, then why did you kill Uncle George then? What are you doing, bro? Like, there's things in this that don't add up. It kind of like defeats the whole purpose of what they were really trying to do. And so, I mean, I guess they did say that. Who said that they would bring Uncle George back to life, or if something happened? I forget something like that.
Uncle George doesn't die in the book. This part,
what?
Uncle George isn't even a person who shot in the book. It is not. Like they completely changed that and then killed him off. He is so important in the rest of the stories for this book. And this is why I said with this episode, I threw away the book. I said, you literally killed one of the main characters in the book who helps progress the story along. And I don't know why you killed him. I'm still confused on why they killed Uncle George here. In the book, when they try to escape, because what happens is they receive a threat. So Christina's character threatens them. If you try to leave, something bad is going to happen. That threat actually never happens in this story. So after they find Atticus's father, they break him out, unlike in the show where he breaks himself out. They break him out. They get in a car. They leave. Because Atticus did all of that, she shoots his father. And she technically kills Atticus and brings him back to life. And then they switched all of it. And it leaves you, again, just shaking your head, I threw out the book. Screw you guys. You're not going to follow this book. There's no need for me to care anymore. I need to try to figure out where you're going with everything.
With the story. Yeah. Because technically if what he was saying is true, they technically did kill the dad. But that's way too much. That's way too much.
And we didn't even get to them eating his liver. We did get to...
Oh, bruh. I knew what he was doing. When I was like, yo, this joker, he about to get his liver. Like, give it to these people. I was like, bruh, y'all better not eat that drink. Thankfully, they were like, nope. I say, I will not eat that liver.
But I'm pretty sure you knew what that was supposed to symbolize.
Yeah.
And that bothered me. That bothered me a little bit.
I was rebuking Nirvana throughout most of this episode. This episode, I was kind of like, bruh. I'm honestly real rap. When Atticus got, chained down. Wait, I got a picture of it somewhere. Let me see what this ninja looking like in this random outfit they got him in. Lord Jesus.
This is after his Coming to America moment.
I'm so sorry for this actor. But he did it. He did the daggone thing. I don't know if he did it for the right reasons, but he did it. But yeah, when they have my man in this look right here, and I was like, bro, I'm not listening to this. Like, I ain't listening to this demonic stuff. And then when there was a moment, I was kind of like, okay, this is supposed to be an important moment. When he miraculously uses the ring that Christina, I think, used to taint the whole entire thing to destroy everybody. And he runs out and he sees what I'm believing is his ancestor.
Yeah.
But yet he was in the fire. And I was like, but this still don't make any sense. Like, none of this is way too much going on for me to even understand. I'm getting glimpses, I'm getting pieces, but it's like I'm sitting there muting most of the episode because of the incantation craziness, and then I'm trying to focus in on what's going on. So, and I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry we're going over, but we're trying to unpack this as best we can. As you can tell, this was not our favorite episode, and as you can tell, this is a very convoluted, disconjointed, and tonally obscure episode for a lot of different reasons. And again, I don't know, bro. I don't know. I personally, in hindsight, just felt like this episode is too much. I ain't gonna say they could have done without it because it left so much details in it.
Yeah,
maybe it should have been structured differently. I don't know, but
if you're gonna pack this much into this episode, you should have made it 2 episodes.
Yeah, and normally Lucas isn't behind all that. Normally I'm the one saying, "Yo, make 2 episodes." Lucas
yeah,
like, no.
I'm normally for, hey, make it 1 episode. Let's get it done. But here, it was just too much. It was too much of everything. It just felt overly done. It was overly produced. That's the best way to put it. This episode feels overly produced. They throwing everything, including the kitchen sink, at you in this episode, and then you're stuck, left wondering what the heck did I watch. Granted, maybe, just maybe, we would have taken the episode in a tad bit differently with a week-to-week release. So I'm wondering, when you all get to see this episode and you see it and you have that week break before the next episode, maybe it gives you time to unpack more stuff. I don't think it will, because I think the narrative is so screwed up in this episode, but hey, I could be wrong.
Look, this is what's gonna happen to everybody. They're gonna be like, That's what's happening. So they're getting like punched in the face with content.
Hey,
but
it's
anyway. Well, hopefully that helped you guys get through most of this. Well, I think we pretty much unpacked everything. You even got like content from the book side of stuff. That whole Uncle George thing. I personally feel like I don't think Courtney B. Vance is done, because there was something in the 3rd episode that
let you know they're gonna.
We'll get into it in a little bit, but it's more to this, and not just that. The fact that what's my girl's name? Letty died, and she was dead for a grip, and then they brought her back. And I was like, wait. Is she dead? Like, and then I'm like, no, she's alive again. Like, okay, so if they were able to do that, then there's anything could happen.
Why couldn't you bring back Uncle George?
Anything could happen in this foolishness. So, hope y'all enjoyed this review. We got 3 more to go. Keep it locked. JBS, we ain't gonna stop. Hope y'all enjoy this. Talk to you guys soon. Peace, guys.